Hi guys, it's Mark Zicree, Mr. Sci-Fi, also known as Mark Zicree of Space Command, and we are going to be talking about Picard, Season 3, Episodes 3 and 4. But first I wanted to mention that we are still in our Kickstarter campaign. We've got 5 days left. There's a link down there. Please go there. There's some great perks and pledge, and we absolutely want to make sure we get over the finish line. $50,000, which we'll put into finishing shooting Space Command Forgiveness. The dailies from the last week's shoot are just terrific, and can't wait to share them with you. It's just amazing stuff. Anyway, so I've been watching Picard and Season 3 because it's better by far than the other seasons of Picard, which I couldn't get through Season 2. I just couldn't. I mean, see, the problem I had with both Seasons 1 and Season 2 was that Picard was generally passive, generally sitting, while other people were doing things, kind of just not being Captain Picard. And so it was frustrating. Now this season, the first 3 episodes, he was being Picard. He was being commanding and decisive and inventive and forceful, which is exactly what we want his character to be. And Riker was being Riker, and Beverly Crusher was being Beverly Crusher, and they reveal that Picard has a son, and it's the same gag as from Star Trek 2. Why didn't you tell me? Well, you wouldn't have been here. You would. In this case, she's Beverly Crusher saying, I didn't tell you because he would have been in danger if people knew he was Picard's son. Well, yeah, it's okay, sure, but okay, that's a little funky, but okay. But the actors were wonderful. 7 of 9. All of these great actors who really know their characters and are really doing a good job. The problem I had with the most recent episode, because up until episode 4, it was like, okay, don't blow it. Because with so many of the other Star Trek shows they've done lately, the live action ones, there's just so many problems. And but okay, now they do have the ship very, very dark on the bridge, which is kind of like, it looks dramatic, but it's like, Jesus, how do they, read instructions or whatever? It's like, if they drop something, they can't find it. But that's okay. And they introduce Geordi LaForge's daughter, who's, steering the ship and all that stuff. So, fine. That's fine. And Worf is back in the show, and that's really cool. It's great to see Worf again. So, okay. And so it was fun. And they had the shapeshifters, and they had Amanda Plummer, who was the daughter of Christopher Plummer, who was the villain in Star Trek 6. And she's really a cool actress, a really, really eccentric actress, but that's interesting. Fine. And the villains in the show so far are sort of like the shapeshifters, kind of like Odo's race and the Dominion War and all that stuff from Star Trek lore. But here's the problem I had. I came up in series television. I've written a lot of series TV, and one of the key important things to know about writing television, first of all, television is about the characters and about our connecting to them and having them be people that we want to spend time with, and having them be, if they're heroes, having them be admirable. But the main thing is never take the jeopardy, the danger lightly. So you can have your heroes wisecracking, if, like for instance, on Friday the 13th, the series, you have them treat the danger as a real person would. And so they might make a joke because they're tense, but they're never actively laughing at the danger because, they know it's not real. And very important. And if your characters are heroes, they have to be trying with all their might to solve the dilemma to protect other people. So here's the problem I had with episode 4, and it was the problem I had with the whole series prior to this season was, Picard's ruminating and chatting, and there's no dramatic intensity, there's no dramatic drive on the part of the main character. And, this was a problem with the first season of Star Trek The Next Generation, where Picard would surrender at the drop of a hat, and then realized to make him decisive, to make him wise, was very, very important. And from then on, it was smooth sailing as far as that went. So, okay, so here's the problem I have in episode 4 of Picard Season 3. When they are in a spot and life support, is dwindling and power is dwindling, and they're being dragged into yet another anomaly that's going to kill them, Picard and Riker both kind of just say, well, we're going to die, so I'll just kind of, ease back here and kind of, and Riker decide, is trying to compose a note to Deanna Troi, his, his wife, because he's been grumpy over the death of his son for a while and, left her to, because he was emotionally closed off, and Picard just kind of goes onto the holodeck, which is conveniently its own power source, which is like, okay, writers wanted a scene on the holodeck, even though there's no power, and so they just kind of like, all right, well, this is just a separate thing, and blah blah blah. It's like, oh god, but the problem is the ones who are driving the action, the ones who are actually actively trying to find a way to save the ship and to save the lives of these people, are Seven of Nine and Beverly Crusher. They're the ones who are actively trying to fight with everything they've got to find a way out. Picard and Riker are just kind of like, la, 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 and Picard's kind of like, well, let me tell you a story or two about my life to his strange son. It's like, no, 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 no. You can have those scenes if it's while they're struggling with all they've got to save all of these other people. Because for God's sake, Picard just discovered that he has a son, and so he's just going to blithely let him die because there's seemingly no solution. This is, he would never have done that. And they say, well, these characters are older and they've changed. No. I mean, it's like if someone's a fighter, generally they're going to stay a fighter. They're going to look for solutions. They're going to try and, particularly if they're in command, if they're have a life in which everyone looks to them for the answers. And, and so all they need to do, it would have been such an easy fix. All they needed to do was have Riker and also that moment where Riker goes, yeah, you've killed us all, get off the bridge. Again, these guys have been friends for how many decades? He might privately say that to him, or but he certainly wouldn't order him off the bridge. It was like it was sort of a misdirect where you think maybe he's the shapeshifter in disguise, but it was just so off tone, and just God. But the thing is, if you had them saying, we've got to find a way out, we've got to find a solution, we've got to, and then he says to Beverly, can you check on this stuff? 7 of 9, you see if you can do this. I mean, in other words, or they could have the idea, but they'd be part of the conversation and they'd be driving it. It's very, very important, because otherwise these scenes are kind of like, well, let's chat for a while until somebody comes up with a solution. And this is not kosher. And again, I've said before that a big difference between writers now and writers back in the 60s was that those writers had all gone through World War II. They had been in the military. They had been under a chain of command. Roddenberry, Rod Serling, it's like they knew Gene L. Kuhn. A lot of these writers had been, Richard Matheson. So they had experience. They understood what that was. And so to make this episode work where we don't lose sympathy for Picard and for Riker is you have them, because they have a responsibility. It's not about saving their own lives. That's, not the point. The point is, here's all of these people, and they're going to die because of Picard's actions or Riker's actions or whatever. You have to give every second you have to solution. And so, and then if you're waiting as the solution is being worked on, then you can have a little side scene with your son or Riker, sending a note off to Deanna. That's fine, as long as they aren't just throwing up their hands and saying, well, we're going to die, so what's the point? So that really bothered me, to say the least. 7 of 9 is still a good character, but again, even there's some dumb writing. It's like, oh, the shapeshifter's in a bucket, and so we have to find that bucket. And so all alone, she starts looking for a bucket on the ship. She doesn't use a computer, look for a bucket and find a bucket. No, she's going door to door on the ship, drawer to drawer. And how many hundreds of rooms are there on that ship? I mean, it's absurd. And oh, look, third time, there's the bucket. And it's and also it wants to be in a bucket, and there aren't a million buckets. That's the special bucket. Okay, well, a little dicey. And so but still, there was a lot I liked about the show. The visual effects are great. The production values are great. The actors are wonderful, of course. I mean, it's great seeing these actors again. I just hope they don't keep making these really bonehead errors in craft, because it always feels like people just not knowing how to make the machine go. The machine of television drama. And you know, I mean, obviously everyone has a right to their opinion, but certainly in Space Command we have our characters driving things. We have them being selfless for others. There's a lot going on, and when you see Space Command Forgiveness, when we finish it, you know, just like our first 2 hours, it's about characters being selfless, connecting with others, being brave, being, you know, loyal, and all of those things that we love Star Trek for, and so many of our favorite movies and TV shows. So, you know, so that's some of it. Let me see if I've forgotten anything. Well, you know, it's just, you know, I'm rooting for it. I root for all these Star Trek shows. I want them to be wonderful. They certainly have the makings of a wonderful season for Picard. I just hope they don't keep doing these missteps that make the characters less engaging. So that doesn't mean they can't have quirks. It doesn't mean they can't have friction. You want that, but it just means that when the chips are down, they come through. And this was, you know, very hinky. So anyway, that's my thoughts on Picard episodes 3 and 4 of season 3. Again, we have a campaign for Space Command. If you've never seen Space Command, on Mr. Sci-Fi on the landing page is the first 2 hours, and I also just posted a rough cut of the episode that we have just completed filming on, and we're now completing filming on the following episode that completes that 2-hour story. 6 more hours to go after that. And so if you want to buy shares in Space Command to have some of my producers' profits, or if you want to pledge the Kickstarter campaign or throw some money our way via Patreon, all of those things would be wonderful. We definitely want to make our goal of 50,000. We're up to 37,000 now. We got 5 days left, so we can't take our hands off the wheel at this stage. So that's about it for now. We'll be talking about a lot more things, including my history of science fiction film, the late 90s. So that's going to be great fun, because my favorite period of science fiction film is from like 1977, when Star Wars came out, to through the 90s. I think that was the great golden age of science fiction film. So we'll be talking about that a lot more in days to come. So that's it for now. If there's any subject you want me to talk about, let me know down in the comments below. Share Mr. Sci-Fi with your friends. Spread the word. Ding the bell. Notify, comment, all that stuff. And we'll talk to you again real soon. Bye, guys.